Hey, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Chris Architect from GStarMag.com, and today I'll be reviewing Diablo 4's first expansion, Vessel of Hatred. This review format is going to be spoiler-free. I'm not going to reveal anything significant. I'm not going to talk about the final moments of the campaign or anything like that. It's just going to be my experience of the expansion, what I thought was great, what I thought was not great, and keep it at that. Enough about all that. Let's talk about what I thought about Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. Blizzard has returned with Diablo 4's first expansion, Vessel of Hatred. In many ways, the expansion manages to retain the game's signature dark, immersive world while sharpening the experience with new content and mechanics. Even though it's only a single act, Vessel of Hatred never skimps on scale and complexity. I reviewed Vessel of Hatred in a private server during its beta phase, and despite it being an early build, there were minimal visual glitches and no game-breaking bugs. Well, aside from a mount issue that was rectified through a workaround by purchasing a Jaguar available in the Hantu. I poured about 200 hours into my sorcerer in the base game, and since then there has been some major changes I needed to reacclimate to. So it was only natural to dive in using the Spiritborn class. And while I scoured Nahantu like a madman, I was met with interesting new gameplay features that surprised me. After 12 hours of slaying demons and several more in the end game, I was left yearning for more. Much of the expansion unfolds in Nahantu, one of the most visually captivating zones introduced in the Diablo universe. Some aspects are returning areas from Diablo 2, which I suspect fans would immediately catch. This jungle region, which connects well into the southwest portion of Sanctuary, is a breathtaking mix of ancient civilization and dense wilderness. It's a world shrouded in mystery with its own dungeons and strongholds that fit perfectly into the hellish lore of Diablo. You will find yourself jaunting through tendril-like demon structures that's supposed to be seeping from Mephisto's world stone. It's fantastically detailed and designed with thoughtful thematic approach that doesn't take away from the dark fantasy world Blizzard is creating. However, despite how gorgeous Nahantu is, I found myself slightly underwhelmed. Without giving away anything, there are elements absent here that I would like to have seen return. I'm left optimistic based on the final cutscene, but I kind of want it now. The assets used for the demonic structures felt too familiar, seemingly recycled from hell in the base game. For an expansion set in such a visually distinct region, I had hoped for more otherworldly locations, especially after the events of the base game. I'm assuming this story is going to continue in coming expansions, so again, I'm optimistic. One of the first things that stood out to me in Vessel of Hatred was the presence of animated cutscenes. Perhaps I should have expected this given the $50 price tag, but it's still nice to know that the team is not skimping on production efforts. These cinematic sequences are peppered through Act 7, offering emotional depth and enhancing the narrative drive. The pacing is surprisingly on point. Each section builds up tension until the final quest, which, without giving too much away, offers a satisfying bridge to what's to come. However, the story does feel a bit too centered on specific narrative arc, which ultimately limits the world building potential that many players expect from a Diablo expansion. Yes, there's branching that promises something bigger, but as it stands, I left wanting more context for the implication that's set for me. As I mentioned earlier, my campaign run in Vessel of Hatred was a level 1 Spiritborn, and I'm confident this could quickly become a fan favorite class. There is a clear inspiration from the Monk in Diablo 3, but flared with other aspects similar to the Crusader as well. The class feels like it's been upgraded. The acrobatic martial arts based playstyle feels heavy and impactful, which is what I love. And the Spirit Hall mechanic adds layers of depth to how you approach combat. With the ability to mix 2 or 4 spirits, which are the Jaguar, Gorilla, Eagle, and Centipede, the hybrid build lets you experiment with battle synergy. For me, the Jaguar spirit paired with Eagle for Valor management kept things exciting as I leaped across battlefields, chaining refreshing skill combos that felt rewarding every time. But even with all of that, you will be tested. Maybe the reason is because I was in a private server reviewing this expansion, and I was getting abolished by the new threat because I was lacking the renowned skill points you get from completing regional challenges. I don't know. All I know is I was facing death often, especially with the addition of 4 difficulties before jumping into Torment 1. But the biggest addition in Vessel of Hatred? The rune word system. Anyone who spent time in Diablo 2 will feel a sense of nostalgia, but don't expect a carbon copy of that classic system. While in Diablo 2, runes could drastically alter playstyles and even craft new gear. Here in Diablo 4, the devs took a more measured approach. The design philosophy of these runes appeared to avoid making rune words the always to go best in slot items. The focus to enhance build diversity rather than limiting it otherwise seems like the smarter choice for a live service Diablo game. The idea of adding layers to your strategy without overhauling what makes your class tick is a good one, and only time will tell whether this will flourish in an ever-expanding environment. You won't be forced to sacrifice your best gear for the sake of rune word. There's now a crafting mechanic that lets you forge mythic uniques by combining sets of runes. This feels like a callback to Diablo 2, where each rune found brings you a step closer to unlocking an incredibly powerful item. It's incremental progress in the best way, offering the same rush of excitement you get when piecing together something rare and powerful. In many ways, this system fits Diablo 4's broader design, rewarding thoughtful experimentation while allowing players to chase incremental power boosts. I hadn't had that much time to really sink my teeth in, but the potential appears to be even bigger than whatever was left behind Season 5. One of the most pleasant surprises in Vessel of Hatred is the introduction of mercenaries. Now, these aren't your run-of-the-mill companions. They are deeply integrated into the gameplay loop. Each mercenary you gather comes with their own backstory, unique skills, and potential to build rapport, which unlocks further reward. Teaming up with Rahir, the shield bearer, or Subo, the bounty hunter, offers a fresh and tangible dynamic to combat in any given instance. I especially loved how engaging the mercenary acquisition quests were. They are relatively simplistic in design, but with the level of work and production amps up the overall weight of these quests and made me feel a bit more connected than any other NPC I had encountered in the base game. Blizzard didn't just stop at story and class improvement. They've also added new endgame content like Dark Citadel and Kurast Undercity. These dungeons are well designed and demand coordination for multiplayer teams. The Dark Citadel in particular was one of my favorite additions. With time attack mechanics and split force strategy, it kept me engaged. The addition of Party Finder feature, you can now find other members much more efficiently, which is a huge plus for solo players looking to tackle tougher content. No, unfortunately, you will not be able to bring your AI companion in if you want to tackle these endgame content solo. One can hope that it will be implemented in time. I didn't get to dive too deep into this feature, but I can already tell it's going to be a favorite amongst those who enjoy Diablo's multiplayer element. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred scores an 8.5 out of 10 from gstylemag.com. Vessel of Hatred is a great first expansion for the ever-growing Diablo 4 game, making tangible changes and adding fun endgame loop to the overall package. And despite some gripes with the story being too centered focused and the Hantu's beautifully designed region hampered by lack of truly unique otherworldly presence, this expansion offers so much more than one would think. That's all I have for Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. Thank you very much for taking the time to check out my impression. Feel free to check out gstylemag.com. I'll link the website below, as well as my social if you want to keep up with all of my gaming antics. Until next time, take care.